Yeah, hi there. These comments are for Irina. This is Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for the 7-step system to pass a TOEFL IBT. So let's take a look at it looks like independent writing practice test number 10. So you had a quick question. You said that I think I did as it asked me to do. Each paragraph discussed one or two of the possible means of transportation, also compared with each other, and only after I mentioned that I prefer the car. No, I think I'm looking at the wrong ones. Okay, let me go to independent speaking practice test number 10, or I think it's number 9. See if I can find your name in here. Okay, I'm going to it right now. This is a tough question. Compare the two different modes of transportation, or compare different ways of traveling, to a destination. See if I can find your name here. Okay, here it is. Okay, so you took this on November 22nd. Okay, let's see what Jacob scored you here. This is where you have your question, right? So, okay, he scored you lower. So he said, and I'm going to go ahead and read it myself and try to give you some feedback. He says, you have excellent examples of transportation in your experiences. However, you must answer according to the order of the question. Firstly, you must compare various transportation options. Secondly, you must explain which you would choose if you were traveling 40 miles. So he's saying that you did not address the task the way that it was asking you to address it. Okay, so let's see what you did, and then if I may arrange it, I may go a little higher than what he did, but let's see. You say in your first paragraph, one thing I truly like about Los Angeles is that there are different kinds of transportation you can use when you have to travel from home to somewhere, which is 40 miles or more away. The bus, metro, and of course a cab or your own car. Now, the only problem with this is difficult because you have to talk about the bus, metro, cab, and then a car. That's 4 different things, and to compare them all and give adequate detail, that's not easy to do. Okay, so you might say you want to say here, there are, not is. There are bus stations everywhere nowadays, and if you compare with previous years, present transportation means are more safe, modern, and comparably new. For example, the last time I was in my country, they have imported a lot of new buses from Europe. They looked really clean and safe, which is why most of my population started to use them more often than before. Besides, they started to take a bus when they needed to travel far from the city. Now, we're talking about going 40 miles, right? It costed them cheap and quick. See, I'm going to give you a lower score, not just from organization. I understand where you're coming from, but you're saying it costed them cheap and quick. I don't think a native speaker is not going to say that. Now, you can say buses are a cheaper and sometimes faster form of transportation. You could probably say it something like that. But you're definitely having some language problems, I think, in that paragraph. Now, let's go to the next one. You say, the city where I live now is a busy one with packed cars and buses. Now, we just talked about buses, didn't we? So you have cars and buses. People prefer to take the metro in order to not be stuck in the roads or the highways for hours. Also, they pay few dollars and is considered the quickest transportation in the city. Okay, the problem is, so you talk about the bus in the second paragraph, right? You get to the third paragraph, and you're talking about the metro, and then you give the example of when I was volunteering in the LA District Attorney's Office, I had to drive almost 40 hours to get to downtown from where I lived. I had to be there 8 in the morning. Thus, I had to get up early, run. You want to say run to the metro station and catch the metro to downtown. As a result, I was always exactly in time there. I didn't have to spend a lot of money on gas. You know, you could probably say here, how long did it take you to get, I think, from where you live to downtown? That would be, I think, important. Finally, the last means of transportation that I can use is a taxi or my own car. Well, as long as a taxi is really expensive nowadays in many countries, including the USA, I would most probably use my own car to get somewhere. So I would say don't even bring up taxi. Why compare it? Why bring it up if you're not going to discuss it? So I think in that one paragraph where you bring up taxi, get rid of it. Focus just on the car. So if you go back to your thesis, instead of saying a cab, you can just say bus, metro, and your own car. Just look at those three things. Because really, let's face it, you didn't really talk about the cab that much anyway, so I don't think it really belongs in that paragraph. So, I understand where you're coming from. I think that you... I think that you definitely... I kind of agree with what you're saying. You did organize it according to the task, so maybe what Jacob said, I might disagree with him just a little bit, but I don't think this essay would reach the 3.75 out of 5. I mean, you still need a little bit better organization. I mean, let's compare the topic sentences with what you said with the model. So you say there is bus stations everywhere nowadays. You want to say there are bus stations everywhere nowadays. You say in the next paragraph, the city where I live now is a busy one with packed cars and buses. That's your first sentence, right? Then the next paragraph, finally, the last means of transportation that I can use is a taxi or my own car. Now that was better. I like that topic sentence because it connects back to the different kinds of transportation you could use. So it's your fourth paragraph, I think, that's better connected, I think, to the writing assignment. Now, if you look at the model, you say, if time is not a factor, then I enjoy biking and walking. You say another option would be public transportation, such as a bus or even a taxi. You have, to me, the best mode of traveling 40 miles would be my own car. And then after comparing the different methods of transportation, the method I would choose is my own vehicle. I liked how this writer looked at the bus and the taxi, grouped them together. You're grouping the taxi with a car, but the taxi and the bus, I think, fit better because you're paying somebody else to take you somewhere. They seem to fit better, maybe in the same paragraph. So even though that you have, I think, a pretty good argument in the sense that you have a fairly organized compare type essay and you get to your argument at the end, you could still improve a little bit in the organization, and you also have some grammar and some vocabulary issues that are also making it a little bit difficult, I think, to understand your meaning there. So I think those would bring down your score a little bit. Now, you can probably argue that you could probably get 3.5 out of 5. But if we look at the rubrics, let me click on them just quickly. Independent writing here. Yeah, I would say you do have some problems with sentence formation and word choice that makes your ideas and meaning a little bit unclear. And I think also it's sometimes difficult to understand the connection of your ideas. That's another idea that I think interferes a little bit in your ability to be understood. So I wouldn't go any higher than 3.5 out of 5 on this particular essay. So I think Jacob was, I think, pretty accurate in how he scored you. But also I understand where you're coming from as well, right? So what did Jacob say at the end here? So he put you at 21 points, And I'll make a little bit of an adjustment that you'll probably be between 21 and 22 points, I think, out of 30 on this particular practice test. Alrighty, anyway, thank you very much for your questions. I have hoped through this video I've given you a little bit more feedback, I think, on your writing, and particularly the independent writing practice test number 9.